Hello, fifth grade. This is our overlapping snake project where we really focus on our drawing, dealing with the fact that the snake is wrapped around a tree branch. And then we talk about lighting as far as creating shadows that are on the snake. So this project in this video can be a little bit longer. So feel free to kind of watch it in chunks if you need a break with it. Okay, I'm going to use pencil to draw this. And then I'm going to use crayons to color it. You can also use colored pencils. If we were in brick and mortar, I would probably go through the colored pencils with it, but I think crayons for this will be helpful because we can still learn about shadows and our blending, and hopefully more of us have access to the colored pencils. Okay, so when we start this, we are going to be making the snake that's wrapped around a tree branch. So the first thing we want to do is draw the snake's head. Now, a snake's head is a triangular shape. Yeah, we can see that line pretty well. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of block in. I'm going to draw this darker than I normally would, but so that you guys can see it on the video. So I block in. You would do this very lightly. I make this shape here. Okay, this kind of almost like sideways pyramid shape. This is the side where the eye would be here, and then the nostrils, and then this is the front of the mouth. That way I can get my 3D look to be kind of in the correct directions. And then I would have the neck start into the body of the snake here, okay? Let me erase part of this so then I would draw the eye and stuff on here, just so it's not so dark. But again, you would start with that shape very lightly, and then over top of it, right about here, okay, is where the snake's eyes are. So I would put a little bump with the snake's eye here. And then I would come in for like the bridge and then the nose, come down here. And then I'd have the mouth and then the bottom jaw. We'd go in, erase that part, erase this part up here. Okay, so I have the head of the snake that's kind of rounded like this. Okay. So that's the snake's head. Then I would start with the snake's body. Typically, it's narrower, well, not typically, I think it always is narrower here by the head than it is when the body gets a little bit wider during the main part of the body and then tapers again and gets thinner towards the tail. So I want to start out here. I don't want to make it wider than the head to start. It should be a little bit behind. Like if it's the bottom part of the jaw, draw your line above that a little bit, because then it just also makes this head seem wider and more 3D. So then I'm going to have it come down here, and you want to decide how it's hanging on the tree branch. So I'm going to lightly put this here, and then I'm going to lightly block in where my tree branch is going to be. Okay, you're going to have to erase sections of it, so you don't want it to be too dark. Okay, so the first part is my snake is now in front of the tree branch here. Okay, so I can make those lines darker. To make it look like it's going behind, bring that line, give it a little bit of space right below the tree branch here. I'll bring it in a little bit closer. Okay, so we have our, here's the part where it's starting to go behind the log or the tree branch. I'm going to keep this thickness that's here. You want to make sure you maintain that thickness down here. Okay, and now the snake's body is going behind the log or the tree branch. Okay, when it comes up, this line would continue up over here. Again, you want to maintain that same thickness from here to here so that, it's not too thin. Here, this part now, this line would come right about here. I'd bring that down. This one here. Okay, make sure you make that part curved. So now the snake's body is behind, wraps up, comes over front. Bring this down again, maintain this thickness here, so your loop would come all the way down. This turn, keep it tight to the log, or the tree branch, keep calling it a log. So this line then, if you think the snake's body would come behind here like that, come back up. This one, you'd have that tight turn right here. Then you would repeat this process, keep looping in and out as much as you want. Let's say I'm going to end my snake here. Bring down this part that's in the front. I'm going to put a bend in the tail just so it feels a little more realistic, like it's hanging there. And start to get narrower and narrower. Okay. So then I have my tree branch. I'd go in and erase those lines that I no longer need where the snake's in front of the branch. Okay, so now I have my snake that's curled around the tree branch. To make this more of a tree branch, if you want, you can add a like a stem or a branch that's coming off here. This one, maybe there's a leaf. So I have my snake, and then I also have my tree branch that's here. Okay, the next thing to decide is where is your light source coming from? My light source is up here, let's say the sun. The rays of the sun and the light are coming down this direction. Put you back up a little bit. So the rays are coming down from this direction here, meaning the shadows are going to be on this side of the snake. It'd be on the underside of the log because the light would be on top. And then the body of the snake would be casting shadows onto the log here. So this part of the body would cast a shadow here on the log. This part would cast one here. And the head would cast one here. Okay, so I'm just going to lightly shade these in with pencil. You don't have to shade this in with pencil. I'm just doing this so you can kind of see where the shadows would be. Okay? Now we'll move on to the coloring portion of it. You want to pick, if you're blending colors, which we do want to do, you want to pick colors that are going to work out well. So it's colors next to each other on the color wheel. Yellows and green would work out well because then we know that you have yellow and you have blue. In between yellow and blue, they make green. So then you can have your green snake. You can have your yellowish green be the parts that are next to the sun. You can have your bluish green for the shadows. And those three colors will kind of blend very nicely together. Let me find those. Make sure you get the right blue. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of use my light green to lightly block in my base color. Lightly going over the whole thing. I'll do the head too so you guys can see. I'm lightly going over the whole thing. Right now it's just green. What I want to do is take my yellow then on the sides that are closest to the light source, which would be this part of its body and this kind of back part of its head. I'm going to do circles with medium to heavy pressure, and I'm going to color part of the snake yellow for the light source. I'm going to go lightly then all the way down to where the shadowed part would be. The head here, back part would have some light this side of his face because it's closer than the other side. Do that here. Okay. Then I'll bring it in so you can see how I've colored that. Now I'm going to take my blue very carefully and very lightly with the blue. I'm going to go in with a shadow side, which is all underneath here. Again, doing circles. If you do circles, it eliminates any harsh lines, and it helps kind of blend the wax of the crayon all together. So I'd add that here. This side of his face would be in shadow. This side over here, again, just doing light circles. And then over here, hold the paper together. This would all be in a lot of shadow because it's underneath the log and going behind. Take my blue, lightly color up the body. Then I'm going to switch back to my green. And now I'm going to apply a lot more pressure over top of both areas. Filling it all in to help smooth out any areas. It keeps them still more on the green side rather than like a yellow, blue, and green snake. It's all kind of staying in the green family. Okay, so now my snake has some shape to it. I'm going to bring, looking at this picture, I'm going to bring my yellow a little. I'm going to go back on a little bit here in the middle, just as if that, because this is where the part of the body where it's starting to come this direction over the log. Then, if you find your black crayon, there we go. I'm going to, just on that shadow side, I'm just going to kind of go over the line slightly with black. I'm just going to darken up some areas, really light with the circles. And really under here where it's coming behind the branch would be almost zero light at the moment getting to it, so I'm going to really lightly go over those. And I'm going to actually switch to my darker green. I'm going to smooth some of that out. And lighten up my pressure on it as I travel up the snake. All right, so now my snake has some shape and light to it. I would repeat that same process up here. I'll block it in all solid with my green lightly. Switch to my yellow for the parts closest. Then lightly with your blue. Smooth it out with your green. I'm going to just hit this area with a little bit of black because it's starting to go behind the log. Okay, so it's starting to really have some shape to it. For the tree branch itself, I'm going to lightly, and I'll do this center section here, lightly block the whole thing in with your brown. Take your black. I'm going to color lightly with the ovals and the circles where the cast shadow is from the snake and underneath. And take my yellow and go over that upper part where the sun might be hitting it. Switch back to my brown. And go over the whole thing, smoothing it out, darkening up the cast shadow part. And maybe hit this last line with the black. Okay, so it starts to really kind of have some shape to it, and you would continue that in each section. All right? Okay, guys, good luck. Feel free to watch this video in sections, the drawing portion, and then the coloring portion. And it'd probably be helpful to find pictures of snakes online for when drawing the head. Okay? All right.